Welcome, everybody, to tonight's episode of Click Heads, a talk show, an esports show. Two dudes just hanging out talking about nerdy stuff. I'm Jared Barretel and Sulpan, joined by Paul Sulpan Vaughn. Sulpan, how you doing today?
It's been a great day. I am freshly moved. My background has changed. If you were watched last week's episode, we're in a new place, but we'll also be moving in 3 months again. So that'll be exciting.
Wait, you're leaving?
Not leaving, just getting out of this.
Relocating.
Yeah, this is temporary. This is all temporary behind me.
Fair enough.
Don't
Temporary
get
or not.
Nice bleak and blank background.
You got to decorate it.
I'll
Paint
hang
your
up.
favorite Worlds team on the background, because that's what we're jumping into first on tonight's episode. Worlds is still kicking. It's still swinging, and it's going through. In fact, out of all 4 groups, there's only one left to play.
Yeah,
how is your pick'ems looking?
Pretty good so far, actually. I'm I believe a red Brambleback is the group I'm in. So, not to flex or anything, but top 0.5%. Only 22,000 other people have picked this, which sounds like a big number, but in this context, it's a small number, I promise.
Representing the 61.8% here at the Ancient Krugs. 2.7 million other people intelligent like me. But I kind of trolled. I only have one perfect group, and it was Group B. T1 taking that away. Yeah, Gaming the second place, 100 Thieves third place, and Detonation Focus Me. We all knew they weren't going to do too hot.
I have to say, anyone who managed to pick that Group A correctly is a grand wizard that deserves, or that I want to approach and get the lottery numbers from. That was an absolute insane day. Honestly. With a 3-way tie, 2 tiebreakers to play, and then just the greatest best of 1 between North America and Europe I've ever seen.
Yeah, and for those that didn't get a chance to watch it, of course, spoilers aside, Damwon Gaming, everyone, DWG, Kia, we knew that they were the front runners. A lot of people did put Fun plus Phoenix in first place, or at least in a higher position than they ended up. No one anticipated Cloud9 to do what they did. And in fact, a 3-0 on the day is not only a tall order, but I mean, this is hopium to the max for North American fans.
Yeah, I mean,
sorry for Rogue Gaming. I apologize.
The real thing here is Cloud9 always makes it out of groups, right? So anyone who didn't put them second is a fool, and I'm one of them. I had them third. True. I was not thinking with FPX and Damwon Gaming Kia, literally 2 Worlds winners in this group. Right. And of course, somehow Cloud9 manages to sneak their way out. I will say
you're a monster.
My bad. All right. I'm a realist. As much hopium as I want to drink. It's not going to happen. But everyone off
your
of this
second
group
perfect group was Group C, right?
Yes.
How did you do this?
How did I do this? Made perfect sense to me. RNG, usually just insanely good. I mean, they've repaired their team, right? Put them over Hanwha because I feel like their team qualified through the gauntlet, through the regional qualifier. So they didn't actually qualify through normal playoffs. They kind of had to sneak their way in. Right. Talon, I mean, they're not a major region team. We haven't seen their region actually escape groups, I think, since the Flash Wolves were last at Worlds. Right. And I didn't think they made it out the last time they were here. Yeah, maybe.
Right.
And then Fnatic was a pretty obvious choice. It's really sad what happened. Of course, Upset, for those who hadn't heard, had to go home for a family emergency issue. And so kind of left a giant gap on the team because he was one of the Fnatic's best players on that roster. And losing your starting ADC before you've got to play against the best teams in the world, you're not going to do super hot. So I ended up putting them last.
Not too good. Now, here's the big question mark. Since you have 2 out of 3 right, and I have 1 out of 3 right, what's your Group D looking like? You don't have any NA hopium, so Team Liquid's last, right?
I'm afraid so. When you see Team Liquid and you see the number 4 in any context, you just kind of put them together. So that was an obvious choice.
Wow.
Gen G. I had a lot of hope for Europe. I mean, I figured if there was a team that managed to take down G2 and Fnatic, they're going to make it out of groups. So that doesn't currently line up with my picks. I have Mad Lion in second. LNG is actually first. I thought they showed up really well so far. And then also inside of the play-ins themselves. And then Gen G, I actually put it in third because, I don't know, I feel like Gen G is the team that's going to disappoint Korea this year more than anything else.
Wow.
You heard it here first.
Words. Me, on the other hand, has a bit of a madman approach to Group D. I got North America coming through strong. Team Liquid inspired, motivated by Cloud9 performance, as well as, to be honest, 100 Thieves' performance on the last day was remarkable. And then I have Gen.G second place, with Mad Lions coming in third, and LNG getting that crucial fourth place. I'm okay with being wrong, but I don't think I'm going to be. I gotta keep the dreams alive.
In China?
No faith in China. North
enough.
American hopium is strong with this one. As what Monte Cristo would say, I'm about that NA hype train right now.
I feel like it's been talking about the like China as a region imploding in the second part of groups, but I really haven't felt it. I mean, like, we lost FPX, but they're sending 4 teams to Worlds. Like, one of them is bound to fail somewhere, right? It'd be scary if all 4 Chinese teams made it through groups. I think that would be the real indicator of like just absolute insane region strength. So I'm glad that it's not 4 Chinese teams in groups. It's awesome that America got through. I think I want to see the Mad Lions get through, just so we can have at least all 4 major regions represented here as we move into the playoff stage.
That'd be nice. And then,
as the meme goes, the reports of China imploding at Worlds were greatly exaggerated.
Yeah, as the memes go. And memes aside, some statistics for you. 86 out of the 157 champions have been picked so far, and banned. There are, I think, 82 picks and then 4 just banned out but not picked champions. You know what the most picked champion is by a pretty large margin, Sulpan?
It's gotta
Shock
be
and
Yone.
No,
just kidding.
It's actually got like an 0-4 win rate right now. Yone's not doing too well. It is Misfortune with Shock and Awe. Interestingly enough, the most win rate champion. Granted, they only have 3 games. You ready for this? Talia.
Interesting.
Yeah,
she's
gotta be jungle.
Yeah, only I guess the way it's been picked anywhere but jungle. I have to believe. But
I wonder if that will influence things, because we always talk about in other tournaments, doesn't even matter what skill level, how the meta evolves within the confines of that tournament, right?
Yeah.
We clearly see like this MF powerhouse with some lockdown ADC coming through at the beginning through play-ins and into the earlier stages of groups, but the Lucian, Nami still being highly contested, and now we even see like Yuumi being kind of a focus for bans or picks, just because that Hyper Enchantress support is something that's alternative to that. Do we end up seeing a true hyper carry with like Lulu and see a Death Ball comp run through? That would be awesome.
I think it's possible, but I think the Yumi's been primarily getting picked up just because she's so strong, or rather, she has really good targets to attach to in the current meta. So every time you see Yumi get picked up, she's going on to Talon a lot of the time. Talon, LeBlanc. I mean, you saw what Chovy was able to do with a fully stacked Medjay against, I think it was 100 Thieves. Just absolutely disgusting. So
yeah.
Maybe I can't remember if it's Fnatic now, but either way, Chovy insanely good mid laner, right? But really, it's more about who can Yuumi attach to and enable rather than an 80 carry within her lane that she's attaching to. Because right now, Misfortune's getting picked up almost every single time, as we've seen with her insane presence this Worlds, and then followed closely by Jhin, I think, is like the secondary go to 80 carry. Yeah. And so
I think more often than not, it's like that or maybe Ezreal.
Yeah, Ezreal too. So like those are like probably the big 3, and Yuumi can go onto Ezreal and make him a little bit more effective, but realistically, 2 of those 80 carries are not who we don't have your Yuumi sitting on top of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wonder if that's going to continue to develop, because again, things change throughout the course of the tournament. Lee Sin, the most picked blue side champion. And Misfortune representing the most picked red side champion, by the way.
I'm actually kind of surprised by that.
Lee Sin first picked is actually pretty... that makes sense, right?
It makes sense because it's a flex pick and all. But I'm more surprised by is how often blue side is giving up Misfortune. Yeah.
Have we seen Lane Lee Sin recently?
I feel like it got played top at least once at this World, but I might be wrong. Might need that fact check.
Just for sheer flex reasons. I really like seeing... kind of these top laners go away from the typical Camille like insta lock when available. I love seeing GP Jace. I think that's a great matchup.
Graves?
I love seeing Gnar. Yeah, I love seeing Graves, although that's annoying for any top laner that only does physical damage, which is all of them. I'm waiting to see a real Singed come out, just to really mix swirl things up, or maybe a Maokai. I really think that even Talia 3 games, not a huge sample size, but 100% win rate has so much objective control, and just that wall, the Weaver's wall, with twisting advance and the ultimate from Maokai could be huge in tandem.
The
But
one
that's, people generally don't like big draft for 5v5s in Worlds, really.
It's been a unique thing that we've seen in this Worlds, where the team fight combos are being seen as the more viable option over the 1-3-1 style compositions, which is really interesting. Even Korea, the team that's known for the macro split push, choke you out slowly, is actually defaulting to wombo combo compositions. The fun thing, though, I think the most fun counter pick I've seen so far is Syndra top being played into Kennen. Just like the weirdest mid laner to ever approach the top lane, because no escapes, right? But she just absolutely dumpsters on the Kennen. And so it's such a good pick for denying that team fighting, or denying the little lightning Yordle from being an insane team fight threat later on.
Right. I mean, same thing could be said for the Talia, right? You have so much presence with Delusion, with these dash champions or champions that have the activated movement speed, having those stones on the ground. I'm not vouching for more people to play Talia. I don't think she's a jungler at all. I think she needs to be a mid laner, but just to mix things up, because the jungle pool is getting a little stale. Saw Fiddlesticks, which was very cool. We saw Fiddlesticks within the confines of like one day, and that was it.
Yeah.
But it was so awesome.
I'm talking a little bit more about champion picks, which is, have you ever heard of the Dade Award?
The Dade Award?
Yeah, so no. Dade was a mid laner from Korea, I think in 2015, who came to Worlds, hyped like crazy. Everyone was freaking out about this guy, saying he was like going to be like the huge hot thing at Worlds, was like number one or like I think top 5 at least in the power rankings that year. Came into Worlds, and then just he didn't even make it through groups. He just fell flat on his face, didn't play well in any of the matches. And so everyone created, or I think it was I Will Dominate, actually created something called the Dade Award, which is you give it away to the most overhyped team that came in this world. Some people are saying it's FPX, but I want to give it to someone else entirely, which is Amumu.
Oh boy.
I think Amumu support deserves the Dade Award for being an overhyped champion that got picked up, and I think is currently sitting around a 33% win rate after just seeing almost no success in play-ins.
It's tough because it's all telegraphed. I mean, that's why we very rarely see Malphite, right? To some extent. The way that these Amumu supports are trying to play aren't the way they need to, I think. They're trying to be pseudo frontline, pseudo tanky. I think if you're playing Amumu support, you need to play like an AP assassin. Like you go Night Harvester, you go Rocket Belt, and you look for flank angles. In fact, take Spellbook, take Ignite, and then switch to TP for deep flank plays, because can you imagine an Amumu TPing into the middle of a fight? You don't know if it's the mid or top laner. You have Amumu drop down, Curse of the Sad Mummy. That's GG right there. And then, in fact, beyond that, pick a more AP-focused comp. You still have your traditional ADC, maybe your top laner Set or something, who does some extra eking out of physical damage. But then you run like Elise, you run Fiddlesticks, and then some bursty mid laner. Who knows?
Syndra.
Something that can... Syndra, yeah, just power overwhelming all of them. Or even Orianna. Why have we not seen Orianna yet? She's the lane dominant champion. That's like her whole MO.
A little bit of her, but I think she's mostly getting played as like a safe blind pick, and not really much of like we're going to play this because it works with our comp. It's just like, I don't know, let's just pick Orianna because she works here. She isn't terrible.
It's just, it's phenomenal to me that these players play on such a caliber, but they still make the same quintessential mistakes. Not having ball vision, not having, eyes or awareness of where the ball is. And those command shockwaves still catch players off guard. In fact, it's so much to the point that I think that Orianna, once we start getting into the later stages, we'll see Oriannas, we'll see Rises again. Heaven forbid we see like Corki Azir reveal its ugly head once more. But I think Azir is super powerful, and they have one of the best Azirs still alive going in forward with the rest of Worlds, and that's Faker. And I would perish to see Faker pull that Birdman out.
I mean, it's been exciting to watch for sure. I think Azir is probably the most exciting of what people would call like the boring mage mid laners. Just because he jumps in and he goes for those crazy, shuffling 4 back plays. Might die in the process, but he always does have stopwatch. Sometimes 2 stopwatches, as we've seen in a few different plays.
We've seen the double stopwatch
the
so
golden
much
hour
more this
of League
year.
of Legends, man. It has been disgusting to watch.
I saw a Reddit post, super funny. Said I forced a bot to watch Worlds and report back to me what it saw, and it was just icons of stopwatches, GAs, and Sonyas across the screen.
It's powerful. I mean,
but it's true.
The most interesting thing I think I've seen is that I don't feel like any of the Western teams are pulling out the double stopwatch play. It's mostly Eastern. So like I've seen Koreans pull it out, and I've seen Chinese teams pull it out. But I feel like no North American or European team has been like, yeah, let me buy Azani's Hourglass and then use my commencing stopwatch on top of it.
It's such a value play, and if you use it at the right time, it is a game changer.
Absolutely.
Because those teams in general don't throw away leads that they garner, especially from, 10 seconds of invulnerability at that point or something like that?
I think you get 3 per 6. Yeah.
Yeah. That's insane. 6 seconds of you can't touch me. If you play Lissandra, tack that on top, I don't know. I'm just happy we don't see. I guess I'm not super happy. The reason why Riot's done a great job about this, forcing Lucian to be hyper buffed by whoever he's near in a lane, removed him from mid lane, which also I think has taken Tristana out of favoritism towards mid as well.
Yeah, there was a huge shift in power for AD carries, where they just wanted them to move back towards bot lane because they were bullying too many mid laners out of mid and being just too effective in a solo lane. So it's nice to see them kind of get rotated back to the original role, because I know ADC players get upset when they lose champions to mid, and then mid laners also get upset when they have to learn how to play AD carries. It's the weird people who like to play flex all the time that choose Phil instead of 2 different roles like a sane human being that enjoy that kind of style of play.
That's literally me. I literally did this last night for about 5 games. And I was like, I keep getting stuck with support, but I don't know how to play this role when I have full control to remove it from my options. But that's the way things roll. And that's not all the League of Legends we have cooking up. We also have Collegiate League starting up soon. Last year, Winthrop University did take first place, but there's some pretty big names here on that ladder climbing to the top, and I feel like we got to talk about some of them. Bethany Lutheran, a very powerful team. Maryville, kind of a name that's kind of a buzzword now with how much they kind of just run the scene. And we see some other maybe lesser known schools here. My personal favorite, got to represent the Boise State.
It's interesting that we're seeing almost a changing of the guard, it feels like, in terms of who's dominating collegiate right now. It was, of course, Columbia College at like the very, very beginning of it all. But now we're seeing, I feel like Maryville and HU as like 2 of the top dogs. But then even then, we're getting more new teams coming into the scene with University of St. Thomas, who actually managed to win HUE Fest, which was a recent collegiate LAN held with 16 different teams. Awesome to see from them. Grandview's been doing a phenomenal job. Redbird Esports, they haven't managed to take any wins yet, but I'm constantly seeing top finishes from this team, and I'm excited to see what they can bring in the future.
Yeah, and I think it's so cool because similar to collegiate sports, this is an esport, of course. These players do want to win because it gives them, some boon towards their program. But beyond that, they're willing to do some weird stuff in order to clinch those W's. In fact, in UAL, we recently saw not Graves top, not Graves jungle, Graves mid, and a Rengar jungle, and that Rengar player just completely popped off. Yes, it's just one game. It was for a best of 3, but they clinched it up with that one map, and that kind of stuff will put some buzzing, some murmuring around there. So, it's interesting to see how volatile sounds like a negative word, but how dynamic, I should say, collegiate esports is. You see, ex-professionals come down here to maybe get a scholarship and an education, and that's kind of a fringe benefit, and they bring that high tier professional knowledge and experience down to these levels, and it kind of transcends the program. Maybe not a similar situation for Quas, of course, but that's a different story we won't talk about. But yeah, I think it's really cool. It's definitely showing, and I hope it continues to show that there is a path for this talent. You see in so many other regions, teenagers that are on par with professional players, 16, 17-year-olds. In fact, in China, being restricted from playing, but some of the best professional players are 17 years old. They're still in high school at that age. But then having a path from collegiate maybe to a professional team, that could be huge.
Yeah, it's exciting. I think it makes the scene a lot more sustainable, just because players do have that option now where they're not dropping out of high school to play to play esports. They're just going to continue on with their life, go to college, and then they can look for that professional career afterwards. I mean, it's a little bit risky because, there's the whole weird stigma around age within professional esports where top of the League of Legends. I mean, I think it was Doublelift retiring at 27. Smithy also out around that age. So you finish your collegiate career, it just in theory shortens your esports career professionally. But I think that there are benefits to it, of course. And hopefully we can see the scene continue to thrive because CLoL has been really exciting to watch. You mentioned Pocket Picks. Pocket Picks has been my favorite thing about CLoL is that it's less about it's less about being meta driven and more about creating really interesting compositions that can catch your opponent off guard.
Yeah, and I mean that's kind of you follow the cookie cutter. This is what's happening in Worlds. You can easily suffer to a school or a program that's thinking more innovatively by countering that meta because yes, it may be the most effective tactic available, but there's always a counter. There's always something that says, oh, you're going to try and do that? Well, this is the chess piece to combat that. And a sidebar, you speak from personal experience in terms of a program developing growth and opportunity moving forward. So you're like a living example that you're not just spitting stuff out of your butt. This is truth. He's spitting bars right now, actually. This dude's spitting.
What can I say? I do have one rap song out there, but you have to search for it. You don't get it for free.
By the way, it's actually incredible. It's actually fire, and I will stand for it no matter what. It's really good. Yeah, it's your national anthem. Like when you come out on the WWE ring, that's your song playing. That's your theme song.
I hope not. If I ever somehow manage to get swole enough for WWE, I hope my rap song has been lost to the ages because that would be embarrassing.
Yeah. You are Swole Papa, so that will be. It's a moniker that will last until the end of humanity, really. But that will do it for this league coverage. We're going to move over to something a little bit maybe more grindy. What's more grinded than playing League of Legends for 18 hours a day? Well, New World is a game that's taken a lot of people by storm, and it is a grind fest. But people are eating it up. It's pretty much, putting yourself in over-the-shoulder third-person RuneScape is what a lot of people have been saying, and people are eating it up. Have you played it all?
I was actually in the New World beta. So I haven't played the game itself. I decided it wasn't going to be for me. And I wanted to focus more on League and some of the esports titles that we're casting. But it was exciting. It was a new experience. I think a lot of people said that it was too similar to other MMOs. I disagree. Sure. They had a very unique feel to the game. So rather than being think World of Warcraft, Guild Wars, Final Fantasy. You're like a legendary, magical, imbued hero who could do crazy, crazy stuff and do crazy spells to enable yourself, your raiding team, and things like that. New World, to me, feels so much more like you're just a guy and you got a sword and an axe, and you're just doing your best. You just swing it and do your best. It really, the combat actually kind of reminded me a little bit of Valheim, less clunky, but also it has this turn-based feel to it, kind of like RuneScape, where it doesn't necessarily feel like you're.
It's kind of like For Honor-esque. Honestly.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a lot of
it's like
dodging.
You take your swings. If I predict your swing because I know you're going to try, I will go with the block. I can get the block. I can get the dodge. I can rotate around. I can shoot my. Yeah, it is kind of turn-based in that, but it's like almost instant turn-based. Yeah. You're not sitting there.
The actions themselves are fun too, because when you aim with the bow, you're aiming with the bow. You have to hold right click, draw, and shoot. When you're shooting the gun, you aim down the sights of the gun and shoot. It's not just like I press tab, I press 4, and I shoot the guy. Yeah, it's active, and I think it makes it a lot more engaging and fun. Some people don't like the MMOs. They kind of like want to use them as more of a social tool where they can play them in the background. But for people who are looking for a much more engaging experience, I think New World's a really good option.
Yeah, it's still in its infancy, so a lot of the growing pains, it seems that the developer, it being Amazon, of course, they're pretty privy to listening to their community. They made a tremendous amount of changes from the beta moving to the live product. And this is a night and day difference between their first release game, which was an absolute travesty. I mean, if you ever got a chance to play Crucible, but it was not a good game. This is a lot better. What I find interesting, though, is when it comes to MMOs, the big question mark for these type of games in this genre is what do you do at the end? A lot of players are still leveling up. That's still kind of the goal right now, and that's fun of the fun of the grind. But once you get to the end goal level, max level, what are you doing? Is there intention for end game content to be readily available? Is it going to be difficult? Is it going to be challenging? Is there going to be tiers of difficulty for casuals versus hardcore players? And then beyond that, how is the faction v faction combat? Are factions that have less population within them going to be buffed? Are they going to be balanced versus this? For anyone that doesn't know or doesn't play, there's one faction called the Syndicate, and it's like the subterfuge, the rogues, the assassins. They're all about doing stealth missions and assassinating people. Literally everybody's a one of them, and it's crazy. The Syndicates, at least on my server, run rampant. There's purple everywhere. That's their representative color, and it makes it difficult to play if you're any other faction. You have to stage small coups. You can't have big wars because the population just doesn't substantiate it. So we'll have to see. It's just a big question mark that will only be answered within time. But it is entertaining. It's very fun, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, I think the open worldness of it, you can go anywhere. You can cut down that tree over there. You can mine that rock over there. It just makes it a very fun
game to play.
You can spend
literal hours fishing.
Oh, yeah.
Cutting
Fishing
down
minigames.
Trees.
The good
just
stuff.
Harvesting herbs. I have a friend who, if there's ever any fishing in the game, he will dive right in and permanently without any remorse or question.
Is that a water pun?
Yes.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. 100%. Speaking of diving right in, we're going to go to our next segment. Going back to Riot for just a moment to cover the Valorant statistics of what's going on. Don't know if you had any chance to watch any of these last chance qualifiers, but things got a little spicy. North America's sole defenders, the Sentinels, were not taken down, but humbled by a performance by G2 a few weeks ago. G2 got themselves in position for a last chance qualifier, but they did not make it out. A team guild, the guild team, as they would call them, was able to take it to them on a 2-0 map win, just complete shutout. And with that being said, this representative team went forward only to then be 3-1 by Team Liquid. So there are only a few more matches for this last chance qualifier. 100 Thieves is in the upper bracket right now, sitting in the final spot and waiting for a combatant to come back and see who's going to try and take them out. There's a lot of different options, though. Rise is still available. FaZe Clan is still in the runnings for this last chance qualifier. Cloud9 Blue, and then Version 1. All teams still fighting for a chance to try and take down 100 Thieves. And then once that happens, as we get closer towards December, it's Champions time. And that's the big boys.
Yeah, it'll be exciting, I think, for sure. I think Valorant's doing something really cool by kind of mirroring, in some aspects, the competitive scene of Dota 2 and CSGO, where it's much more tournament-based, right? Yeah. You don't have competitive leagues. You just have one-off tournaments. And those best of 5 matches, those best of 3 matches create so much more hype than best of ones, because you get really cool narratives of they knocked them out at this tournament and now they're coming back to this one, upgraded their roster, made a few moves, and now they're ready to take down the team that took them down just a month ago. That kind of narrative is super exciting. The other thing that's surprising me is I was expecting more European domination in Valorant, purely because in the tactical shooter genre, CSGO being the only other one out there that anyone plays, Europe is dominating that scene. They have so much more infrastructure. They have so much more success just in general in terms of winning CSGO tournaments. It's very rare North American team wins there. So I was really surprised to hear when we've seen some success with the Sentinels, Cloud9, and of course 100 Thieves, all being competitive, at least with the European teams at that level.
Right. And it's cool because, North American fans would always just love another game for them to cheer for their team. And A lot of what we're seeing in terms of the successes is the typical kind of play icebox and rush A mentality. A lot of teams do that, but I think with things being tournament ready and tournament acceptable here in the near future, we'll see maps like Fracture, and we'll see whether or not teams have these insane strategies. It is unfortunately another map to ban, and it's another map to practice. We often criticize when teams in general practice X amount of maps as opposed to as many as they can, because it leaves you room for mistakes. And if you have 100% win rate on map, I guarantee you're not going to see that. So you need to be prepared to play these other maps in that kind of instance.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like if you don't practice these. I mean, I think every team to some extent has to practice every single map, but
Right.
I love teams that specialize in some weird way in one map, and that the team doesn't know about it, and then they
Right.
pull out just insane strats. I
Mhm.
mean, kind of going back to CSGO again, but everyone remembers the crazy boost that Fnatic did. That was super controversial at the time because they were looking over a wall they shouldn't have
Right.
been able to look over. But finding discoveries in maps like that, finding those crazy one-way smokes that the other team just isn't expecting, that's the kind of stuff that can just get you a quick victory in that best of 5 and be
Right.
exactly what you need to take them down.
And it's a momentum shift, right? And not even despite, this game is encouraging a momentum system, because when you win, when you get eliminations, you get money, and you get much more than your opponent for losing. It is very much a momentum based game. And then beyond that, it becomes a question of mental, with this being I guess mainly composed of players from CSGO and maybe other shooters, tactical or otherwise. Maybe professional competition isn't something that they shy away from. They welcome the challenge. Their mental is something that is relatively protected, but there is always that question mark, right? Whether or not we see it on the professional stage or if we see it in collegiate or amateur. When you lose, and you lose in a big way, that does, beyond the physical damage in the game, that does mental damage to you as a person. And it's the funniest thing you can. And maybe in, again, less composed teams, ones with less experience, you can see a team tilt based off rash actions, lack of decision making, lack of accurate decision making, going forth without any information. There's a lot of things that are noticeable, and it's the funniest thing to me.
I think the best phrase to come out of COD that I've ever heard is ego peaking.
Yeah.
They sometimes just shorten it to egoing. And that's exactly it is, where you peek an angle that you know you shouldn't have, but you're like, oh, I can just outshoot this guy. So you try it, and then you get shot.
Don't.
Yeah, and you die. That's the kind of tilt plays that'll just get you messed up in Valor. I mean, you have to be playing so calculated and so intelligent. The amount of utility that gets used in that game is absolutely insane. And it's really more based about that than it is the gunplay, despite what Riot's initial intentions were.
Well, and that's the cool thing, is despite Guild not making it through to the end due to Team Liquid just being better, they were a team that got to where they were because of the fact that they took chances and opportunities not using all their utility, and for good reason. When it comes to the tactical shooter, tactical almost is synonymous with slow. You take your gameplay to a fast pace like the Sentinels, and we've seen them have great success with doing so. You completely catch so many teams with their pants down, and there's nothing they can do, because you can't just speed up your tactical deployment. You can't just speed up your utility. It's something that you just have to forgo and hope that you can win gunplay. But at that point, you're already a few rounds behind when you decide to do it. And the team that you're facing up against that's doing this hyper aggressive style, that's what they're known for, is just better gunplay. At the end of the day, that technically will win games.
I think it's really interesting. I mean, the Valorant community kind of balances between like people who got the game because Riot's goals with the game were that it was going to be more about the guns and less about utility. But it does to me feel like in general, the game is very utility focused. And so, but that, in my opinion, makes it more interesting to watch, because then it's less about who can just flick to someone's head quicker than the other, and much more about placing everything in the right places. I mean, I love the entire Sentinel class. I think it's just super interesting. Cypher, one of my favorite characters in the game to watch, just all the crazy setups they can come up with. It's much more about prepping correctly for the match than it is about just taking that 50-50 ego peak, as I mentioned earlier.
To some extent. There is a large handful of really strong utility Then you have characters like Yoru, who on paper sounds like he'd be busted for a tactical shooter, right?
Yeah,
but he's not played. He's just not played at all. And for some reason, I don't know why. He's one of my favorites, so I don't know. The new agents coming out eventually. We'll see if they're going to be tournament ready by December, depending on when they're released. Some leaks, some rumors, can't really believe them, but someone says that they're a sharpshooter. So the new operator holder, maybe, who knows? We'll have
It'd be nice just to have some diversity in that department,
right? No more jet operator, please. Name a more iconic duo. I don't want to. But that will do it for the Valorant portion of the coverage. On to another MOBA. One that I had vehemently talked about last episode actually had some conclusions drawn. Dota 2, their international championship has come to a conclusion. And with a very fiery kind of setup. Team Spirit picks it up over PSG LGD in a pretty commanding fashion. We have so much to say about this, but the coolest thing I think about this whole setup is there is only one hero that was not played, I believe. Only one. You don't know any of these names, do you, for any of the characters? We'll run it from the top. What is there are by the way, Team Spirit winning I don't know, a nice $18 million, $18.2 million. Just whatever. And that's a cool thing about Dota 2. The prize pool is not only associated. Initial prize pool was 1.6 million. And then what ends up happening is an additional 25% of all battle pass sales, which is an in-game item you can purchase for cosmetics, are added to the pool, which means that through some miracle, the current total prize pool was $40 million.
Yeah, the really cool thing about that is just that 40,000,000,000,000. Oh, sorry, that's billion.
Nice.
Take away 3 of those zeros. Anyways, what's cool about Dota and the international is I just think that because that prize pool is so big, it gets so many eyes on things in the esports world. So many more people are like, yeah, I heard about that crazy tournament where they won $40 million or something, which obviously wrong. The prize pool gets split up, but it's still so interesting just because so much of the general public is aware of the international more than I think a lot of other esports. Of course, Fortnite got a lot of publicity for the kid, that 16-year-old kid who won 16 million or something. Booga, yeah, thank you.
Booga for Fortnite. And that's exactly an example I was going to throw out is, for lack of trying to offend anybody, boomers or whatever you want to call them, people of age that are not familiar with video games and esports, they may not know a lot about esports, but I guarantee you someone's told them about Booga.
Everyone seems to know about Booga, but also the international, just because the prize pool is so big, it brings a lot of that validity to esports. And I know that everyone thinks that esports is normalized and we're finally there to the point where the general public generally accepts it. Absolutely not, man. Every single time I go out, every single time I'm in an Uber and someone asks me what I do, I have to explain. I have to start every single time. Do you know what esports are? And then you have to validate it to them, and then I have to convince them that it's real. Yeah. It's. I still feel like we're working towards that validation where the general public accepts and acknowledges what esports is, not just the youth population.
And there's a dichotomy to that question as well, as with the validity being called into question and still kind of being hazy and not stamped in permanent ink. There's also a question of talent and players being hard to value. Not to say that, efforts by production and staff and talent and players aren't valued personally by the people involved, but how do you put a dollar amount on someone and their performance or their services? It's difficult. Now back to Dota, because I don't want you to detract me just yet. Darn, I know, because this is going to be really difficult for you. I'm so sorry.
I'll do my best.
There are 4 100% win rate heroes. Do you know them?
I know 2 names. I know 3. I know 3 champion names. You ready? Hero.
You know 3 hero names. Yeah, wrong game.
Invoker.
Go. Okay, not one of them.
Juggernaut.
Also not one of them.
Marksman.
Not a name of a character, but that's okay. Okay.
Is it sharpshooter, sniper, or something?
It's Sniper.
Oh my god.
He's a tiny little dwarf goblin man.
And he's wonderful.
No one played him.
Oh.
He's a great pub stomper, but not very good in competitive play. Chen, Visage, Arc Warden, and Ricky. Granted, their games vary, not the most played heroes in this regard, but the ones with the 100% win rate. And again, only one hero not picked, Husker. The most picked hero, Elder Titan. Pretty cool stuff. I think it's phenomenal.
I think one thing that's always interesting is I feel like sometimes a lot of these like one game 100% win rate heroes, champions, or characters in a lot of different games come out when a really good team plays against like a much more inferior team. They get like that one-off counter pick or something, and then that character just stays at like that super high win rate for the rest of the tournament. And like they don't really deserve it because that team in theory should have beat that team anyways. So win rates and statistics from world championships and just giant tournaments like this are really hard in my mind to pull together and actually pull meaningful data sets from, or meaningful conclusions from.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, it's difficult to say, unless, of course, it's like Olaf, what year for Worlds, who was just able to run and just win games by himself. Xin Zhao, I feel, is also extremely powerful. That champion's insane.
But we're here for Dota. Hang on.
Yeah, we're here for Dota. We'll fizzle away from Dota. That's all I got for now. The season's over. Congratulations again to Team Spirit. You definitely earned it. You dethroned a lot of teams that you were anticipated to lose against, to be honest, and somehow managed to pull it off. So again, congratulations. You guys earned it. But I think an interesting side conversation or sidebar we can have is kind of dipping our toes into the conversation that all of this is encompassing this really cool different perspective on esports in general. You see these massive amount of prize pools being divvied up amongst the players, the coaching staff, the analysts, and stuff like that. But the new unsung hero are the representation for the help. You know, the people making sure that the physical and mental health of these players is top notch, and that's huge, right? Pushing forward to make a giant strive to make sure that these players have the right mindsets, are eating healthy, have a healthy lifestyle. They're not just doing what they used to for StarCraft and playing 16 hours in the middle of a Korean gaming den, drinking nothing but energy drinks. They have a nutritionalist. They have 3 balanced meals a day. They have a therapist, you know. This is incredible because that not only shows that the people that are involved aren't in it for just grabbing the money. They want the longevity of these players to remain true.
Yeah, it's been a huge point in esports just generally. The fact that you can't practice football for 16 hours a day. Your body has physical limits. You can sit in a chair and play games for 24 hours a day. Not healthily usually, but no, people do it, and they deteriorate their health as a result. Sleeping, not a joke. To lose hours of sleep is not good for you, obviously. It's really
Unless
cool
you're
to
just
see
one game away from winning, you know, just one more.
It's been just really cool to see general acceptance of mental fatigue and mental health issues within the esports community. I think we're still a long ways off.
Sure.
Even Uzi being the most prominent example I can point to of back and wrist issues that took him out or made him retire much earlier than he wanted to. You always look at him and be like, it is such a shame that he no longer has access to this career and the thing he loves to do because he wasn't taking care of himself early enough. I mean, he's one of the OG esports players, so it's hard to even discredit RNG and say that they weren't doing enough for him because at that time, these issues just weren't even considered.
Right. And yeah, the awareness is important because it can be an issue. Despite what maybe a lot of people think, you know, this could be something that is fleeting. Uzi, of course, early retirement is evidence of that. This isn't something that is sustainable forever without proper care, and putting emphasis and effort into that proper care is huge. I mean, I think you didn't get a chance to watch any of TI for Dota, but there were so many interviews in which the players and coaching staff and whatnot praised the fact that they had so much support for their mental and physical well-being, because again, in comparison, it's night and day to the way things used to be.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Hopefully it gets better. That's all we can say. I mean, it's hard to advocate for change. In a space that's already advocating for change and already moving towards those better benchmarks for mental health.
Keep speaking about it. Use your platform, I think, is always super important, because awareness obviously brings attention. Attention brings solutions if there are problems. If that's the desire, I guess. I don't know. Attention could also bring harm, but
I hope not.
You just ignore the trolls, really. And back to Riot's success, we'll throw maybe some not specific esports news at you, but some interesting things happening in the business world on the other side of things. Of course, with them being business and game companies, they got to make money somehow. Riot Games acquires Kanga to create better fan experiences. Kanga was founded in 2018 as a startup focusing on creating fan hubs that facilitate exclusive content, social wagering, merchandise sales, and video content aggregation specific to an individual's favorite esports teams and streamers, which means maybe we'll get like a Team Liquid Foam Finger one day, you know?
Yeah, I hope it happens. I mean, all the different esports teams, I think, are already kind of creating their own brands. I mean, we saw how 100 Thieves was successful in becoming the hoodie org, where they just sell a bunch of really high value hoodies, and that's how they're managing to make revenue. Cloud9, TSM, and Team Liquid all have very successful merch ventures of their own. I even have one of the Team Liquid
show
exclusive. You want to see it? It might take me a second to go grab. Okay.
Go.
All right, one second. Cover for me.
This is worth it. This is worth it, folks. This is proof in the pudding, because it's going to make things more commonplace. If this merchandise is more available, if content's more available and more wide stream, maybe there's different medias that are going to be tempted to purchase. We at one point had ESPN. There we go.
Big old,
holy cow, that's cool.
Weird hoodie pocket here. I call
that's a weird pocket.
This is my airport hoodie, because you can just throw like your wallet, phone, headphones, whatever was in your pockets in that once you make it through security. The one problem is I almost get pat down every single time, because this thing is so massive, thick, and heavy in the hood back here that they'll always just like grab me. And they're like, yeah, he's hiding something in that hood. And they're like, I almost without fail every single time I go through get like a checked on the neck. But beyond that, it's a really nice and convenient airport hoodie.
Sounds like you're getting assaulted by TSA. But
I promise it's not that bad. No, they're okay. They just give you like a little neck massage, and then you're good to go.
Oh, that's pretty nice.
Oh, yeah.
I've only been pulled aside one time, and they thought I was nefarious, but look at me. I'm harmless. Another great partnership as well is going to be the talks of FACEit and Gucci combining. FACEit being, to my understanding, a place for tournaments to be run through. They're like a tournament organizer, and of course, everybody knows Gucci.
Yeah, interesting partnership indeed, just because FACEit's primary demographic, I think, would be CSGO. They kind of have their own ranked ladder that they use and utilize, where, you rank C on FACEit, you rank B on FACEit, kind of like Rocket League 6-man's. I think there's another CSGO service that actually does a very similar thing. Issei, I think, is the name. But it's interesting that a giant brand like Gucci would partner with FACEit, just because I feel like CSGO is kind of one of the games that's on the way out. And with Valorant kind of being the new hot thing, I would have expected Gucci to follow that crowd and cater to that crowd rather than the CSGO community.
Maybe. I'm not trying to throw shade at FACEit by any means. I guarantee they've done great things for esports, but maybe that's their thing. Gucci's like, this is a lower hanging fruit that we can reach for on the way up to the top of the tree.
I mean, they already partnered with LCS. I think there was a Gucci x LCS collaboration a little bit ago.
There was a Gucci jacket and a Gucci Kiana skin.
That's what it was. Yeah, it was like they released. I think it was with True Damage when they released like a bunch of True Damage gear, and every single T-shirt was like, I think the cheapest item they had was like a $500 belt or something. So it's absolutely insane.
Overreaching.
Yeah, maybe that was them overreaching, and they didn't get the success they wanted. But one thing I wanted to bring up before we jumped on from this topic was about on the topic of Kanga. Interestingly enough, this idea of like this fan hub already existed and was already in place and practiced currently. There was a place called Green Park Sports, which was like kind of the original digital fan hub. They had some form of partnership with Riot. I'm not exactly sure, but like if you go to their website, greenparksports.com, you can like see that they're partnered with the LCS. Like LCS is like one of the 3 leagues that they run digital fan content in. You can like customize an avatar. You like play games against other fans of the other opposing team that you're playing against. All within like this digital space that's I think almost entirely on your mobile device. But it's weird to me that Riot's partnering with another digital fan group, and I'm wondering if maybe they're just not getting the engagement they want out of Green Park. But like there is absolutely a partnership that they already have in place for a very similar.
It does the same thing.
What's the word? It fills a similar niche, and so the question is, what changed with this partnership? What weren't they happy about? Or is there something very, very unique that they're building with this new startup that I'm just going to be completely blindsided by and it's going to blow me away? I think something really cool needs to happen in order for this to be successful over Green Park Esports.
Maybe they're trying to throw attention or a spotlight to Kanga's casts instead. Maybe. Great guy, honestly. I love Kangas.
He's sneaking his way in there. He's cutting branding deals with random startups that he thinks are going to get picked up by Riot, just so he can get his name out there even more. He's a genius.
Respect.
So much knowledge in that bald head.
That's because you don't have any hair to weigh it down. You have only room for knowledge there. That's why I'm going to shave my head as well. I'm not going to shave
Manchester.
My head. Does this mean that we're going to see Gucci CSGO skins?
No, because it's not partnering with Valve. I almost had the thought. I was like, that could happen, but then no.
Maybe a Gucci case for a tournament reward?
That could happen. Gucci rewards would be really interesting to see. Maybe like discounts or some kind of promotion there.
This is great though, because this bridges the gap so you can say like, oh babe, let me play a couple more ranked games. I'm trying to get some Gucci gear for you, okay? Like I just got to queue up for a couple more ranked games. I'll be busy. I'm trying to get you that Gucci bag. I swear. It's not going to work.
No, I don't think it'll work. I feel like in general, the esports demographic is too young to afford things like Gucci.
Maybe, but the content creator demographic isn't.
Yeah, content creators can absolutely do it, and they can buy content creators getting associated with Gucci. Their fans are like, I'm going to drop my entire 3 months of paychecks on that next Gucci item. But I feel like it's just...
I've seen people drop like 1,000 tier 2 subs. Yeah. I'm like, how did you gift all those? Hook me up, bro. Yeah, well. But it's time for my personal favorite segment. I'm going to let you finish. Do you have any I'm going to let you finishes?
Well, Barretel, I'm going to let you finish, but put your tinfoil hats on. We're getting weird. You ready for this?
Okay. Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. Amazon is currently publishing a title that I'm very fond of. Do you know what that would be?
No.
It's a game called Lost Ark. It's a top-down Diablo-style isometric view where you control one character. No. That's what my tinfoil hat theory is about. You control an isometric character. It's super fun, super fast-paced. It plays almost like a MOBA in PvP. I've been actually studying VODs of tournaments from, I think it's Russia, Korea, and China, where the game's currently released, just to learn more about the game, because I'm super excited for when it comes out. I want to learn how to cast it and run matches in that space. Really interesting PvP system, super interesting PvE system. It has like a lot that can appeal to casual fans in terms of like just collecting stuff. I mean, it's been out for it's either 2015 or 2018 when it was released. So it's been out for a while. Wow. There's tons of content in the game. And all they're doing is translating, or all Amazon is doing is translating the game and localizing it for North America. Now, the game was originally set to release in December of this year. It has been pushed back to an ambiguous time next year. And you ready? This is where you really want to tighten down the straps on your tinfoil hat. The reason Lost Ark was not released this year is because they released New World, and they did not want this other MMO that is far superior to New World competing with their newly released title that they developed themselves. And I'm mad about it because I love Lost Ark, and I am craving so much that PvE and PvP that I was so fond of in like the week worth of alpha that I got to play in that game. And that's all I got to touch, and that's it. And I'm just sitting here crying, punching the wall.
You're mad.
And just, that's all I want back. All I want is
You're so mad.
I just like the X-Man with like the photo. He's like crying in bed. Me with Lost Ark, man. Yeah, I miss it, dude. It's been a tragedy. And I was so sad when the initial delay was released, but then I got thinking. I put my tinfoil hat on. I got thinking. It's
this
because they developed their own title. They just don't. They want people to buy Lost. Or they want people to buy New World instead of playing Lost Ark for free. It all makes sense. And so, I'm mad, but what can you do? We're just going to sit here and wait. And I know that the game when it releases will be super, super fun. So I'll just look forward to that time.
Sulpan, I'm gonna let you finish. But where the heck is the Ruined King game? Where is Riot's Ruined King game that's supposed? Why didn't it come out when Viego was like released, pick band 100%, main story arc villain, the Ruination was happening? That was quintessentially the best time to release it. What are they doing? They don't know what they're doing at all. Riot. Also, out of all the years that Zach as a champion has been around, he doesn't have very many skins. He doesn't have a lot of love. Why have they not innovated?
I know this one.
It's super. No, it doesn't make any sense.
No, I know this one.
Why?
The reason is because the way his character model physically was designed. So, like, do you know how rigging works in animation?
No.
It's so like, think like Yasuo or something. He's got a few moving parts. He's got his legs, his sword, his arms, to like stab, like all those animations. Like they have to create this character model and then put points on it that are like the joints that move. Okay. Zach is a giant amorphous blob with no
joints.
With like no joints, and like a lot of his character model is just like meant to be this crazy moving thing, and he's constantly stretching and moving about in really odd ways.
So it's difficult. So it's
really difficult to make skins for it. Yeah. That's basically all it is.
I don't care.
But on top of that, he's also an unpopular tank jungler that isn't dashing 6 times across your screen, so no one wants to play him. So,
but he has a passive.
He's got a passive.
He's got a death passive. Here's the idea, and this is when he was in popularity. Zack-O-Lantern the skin. It's Halloween. Make him orange. Make his little bloblins be little pumpkins. It's the easiest thing ever. And his face is already Jack-O-Lantern-esque. Zack-O-Lantern would be the easiest skin they've ever released. And then one final thing.
I got one more thing before you go.
You're going to put a little thing on mine, huh? You're not done yet.
I hope your tinfoil hats didn't go very far. But Riot removed all chat. Arcane's releasing November 9th. Ruined King, I bet, will release around the same time. Their plan is for Arcane to come out, get a bunch of new eyes on Riot's IPs that will suddenly be interested in the League of Legends universe, release the Ruined King, which will be a paid game, no all chat, so that players, when they join the game, don't get flamed relentlessly by the enemy team. They'll only get flamed by their allied team.
Wait till all chat's removed and it's just a ping system.
It could happen. But then
I don't know voice chat.
I don't know.
It works in Dota.
It works in Valorant, which is another Riot game. So who knows?
The technology's there.
I think the plan is to get eyes on their game, get eyes on their IP, and then release the Ruined King along with that, so people have even more lore they can dive into to get more familiar with the League of Legends universe.
I'm gonna let you finish, but there was a recent patch to a very near and dear my heart game. Baldur's Gate 3 had a huge patch. They're still waiting to release next year. Ho hum. But it is an absolute hoot to play with your friends, that game. It is hilarious. It's very 5th edition if you're a fan of D&D. You know what? Actually, no. I'm going to let you finish, but if you want to play D&D, you don't got to set up a campaign in person. There are endless. There's an end. There's a very limited amount of online tools, but they're out there and they're free. So do it. Have someone try DMing. If you're afraid to, just do it. Just try it. If it's not for you, you'll figure it out. If you start kind of developing your style, you have players that like it, you have a campaign. Just as easy as that. Play D&D, play with your friends. Video games and board games are meant to be enjoyed alike. But that will do it for tonight's episode of Clickheads. I think we've clicked them pretty spot on. About an 82% accuracy rate. Just because of my pick'ems, I think that's where I fell short. But your
pick'ems were 82% correct. That's not true.
Let's be a little generous because the rest of my information was spot on. Well, we're going to be
enough.
We'll be lenient because I'm hosting. Okay, 82% went for me. You got about a 93. I think you're doing pretty good for yourself. But that again will do it for tonight's episode of Click Heads. We'll see you next time.